Pour nous connaître, pour nous, c'est pour nous tout ça bénéfice. For all the wonders you done for us all, spreading the culture all over the world. For all the good things that you done for God, that's why
Good morning, Eastern Caribbean. Welcome to another Creole Heartbeat program on the big station. It's a pleasure to be in your company. Very special day in Dominica. It's pretty hot in the capital city, but that's part of the tropics, rain, and then a nice marriage between the sunshine, and that's why we are so fortunate to be in that part of the world. This morning, we once again will be here with the kind compliments of DG Seller, our sponsor for the entire hour. And we'll be having part two with Sober's Esprit. And last week, we already touched on several areas. And once again, I always call him one of the great Dominicans. And because of his depth of knowledge, and he sees things out of the box. He's not the normal Dominican who just settles for just mediocrity. He actually excels in anything, and he goes for platinum every time. And if brass comes around, then there's no problem. Good morning once again to Sober's Esprit.
Good morning. Yeah, nice being here. I actually did my exercise regime this morning because I walked right across town because I had to park across the bridge. But that's okay. I enjoy doing that. So.
But it's the normal those days, especially on a Friday.
Yes.
And it is even better without whenever there's a tourist ship, it can be crazy.
Yeah. But even then, this morning it was still, car park across the bridge was still. But it's okay. I got through, and I did my part of my exercise regime. I needed another 20 minutes to complete for the day.
so we may have to actually look at how we can just get some packing done in the city.
Oh yes, that's an imperative for Dominica and for the city of Rosa.
I know.
So,
and
so when we discuss economic advancement and economic development, we'll go there.
But so much today, before even we actually go into the program, we actually laid to rest one of your friends, one of your schoolmates.
Schoolmates, yeah.
And Kevin Sarah will be laid to rest later today. And I know you have your own sentiments. I know you expressed it elsewhere.
Yeah.
We can actually, as one who actually knew him, knew his music, I'll allow you the opportunity to do so now.
Yeah, and so. For all of us, it's sad. It's always sad, when a colleague, a friend, so close to us, so dear to us, passes on. Kevin, as I said in my tribute on your program, Waddix, was a tremendous young Dominican in his time, in his teenage years. He was more than a musician. He was an outstanding sportsman. He played cricket, football, and I think almost every sport. As we know, St. Joseph is a bastion for sports. And back in the 60s and 70s, they really excelled. St. Joseph, I think, produced the most national players. Yeah. So don't take me on that. I don't think
I think the West Coast. The West Coast.
Dominica talking about. They produced an outstanding number of Dominica and Windward Island players. I don't think that they have had any West Indies players as yet. No.
How far Giovanni
is not from St. Joe. He's from Portsmouth.
He's from Portsmouth.
Yes.
But, Caleb just make combine.
Caleb make combine islands. Okay. So I know that there was a big argument one time. We were having this argument with the guys from Jubilant and Biosh, and they were saying, "No, we put all the West Indies players." But St. Joseph was a bastion for cricket. The guys who play cricket every single day. The small field, and so Kevin was one of them, and he was part of a club called Adonis, which eventually morphed into what became known as Gramax, and then Gramax International.
Yeah, and then just for information, just break down what Gramax means.
Well, Gramax guys went to St. Mary's Academy, and guys went to grammar school. So Kevin and Tipam, my classmate, my actual classmate, they were St. Mary's Academy guys. Also Alex and John Baptist.
Tipam played the bass.
Tipam played the bass. Alex and John Baptist was one of the early vocalists. And then the other guys went to grammar school, like Jeff Joe,
Fresh
Soul, and Mackie, and Rodney, and the other guys, they all went to grammar school. But it's a great, combination of talent, because those guys, as I said, they started as, outstanding young men in the communities, and then they wanted a band because St. Joseph used to be a place where a lot of action and music. They had a band called Echoes, Just a big band from what I understand. I don't think I can really remember them, but I know the name. Kevin's brother played in the Echoes, and I think that's where he probably was motivated or inspired to play music. So I think he may have been the first guy who could actually play in the band. The other guys learned while they were in the band.
Yeah.
Like so many groups at that time, guys form groups and then they learn to play instruments.
He said that in one of the interviews that I had with him, that guys actually learned on the job.
Oh yes, that was the norm. I mean, look at Bells Combo. I mean, if you talk about the history of Bells Combo, only Mike and maybe one or two other guys played or could play anything. Everybody else learned to play while they were in the band. If you talk to Francis and all the other guys, they'll tell you they learned to play whilst they joined the band. So Kevin was, as I said, one of the standing young cricketers, particularly cricket. He played Dominica and Windward Islands under 19 cricket. We just know him as just a standing cricketer. He was an all-rounder, just like my friend Kelvin Gabriel Bolter, who was my mentor, an off-spinner of great pedigree. And so they rule the rules really in those days. But of course, things change, situations change, and they wanted a band, and he went to help form the Gramax, and Gramax became known and has become known as one of the biggest bands ever out of Dominica. Kevin was in fact very much a part of that. Played guitar, singing, did some vocals, songwriter. And then when the Gramax folded or declined, he went on to do some solo works and continued playing music until the end, So may his soul rest in peace. And I think he should inspire young St. Joseph men and women to take up the mantle to play music. That's something I would like to see happen in communities all around Dominica. Let us go back to the roots. Let's go back and see how we can get these groups restarted. We can do it through various means. Those who can play already, mobilize young people, teach them to play instruments. I don't think we can have a situation like of the Gramax and the Bells Combo era where you can get guys to form bands and play and learn to play. I think it would be great to have, spaces where young people can go in and learn to play and then to form groups, to record, or if they don't have to form groups, they can do it solo. So, but the whole idea is to continue the legacy of people like Kevin and Jeff Joe. They left a great legacy, not only in Dominica, the region, Africa, the world. Gramax International was truly international, and he was part of that.
Absolutely. And I mean, speaking of, let's say that breeding ground for new people to actually play, new artists, new musicians. You also had a project in mind for the community of Mao. You can
definitely
up to date.
Yeah. So as I say, what we have to do, I think the situation has evolved. Times have changed. You're not going to get many musicians like a Mike Morrow or Kevin Serra to form groups like that. I think we have to create the platform to allow young people to hone their skills, to learn to play, to learn to do other things, whether it be marketing of music, the graphics and other aspects of the music industry. I think the method that we have to approach now is let us create spaces, let us help to build spaces. So some of it have to be state funded and state run. Maybe not state run, but state funded for sure. So we need to see some investment by the state into some of the spaces. Some of it could be community based as well. We have organizations, or we can form organizations to actually do these kinds of things and solicit support from the community, from the private sector, and from the government to do some of those things. So what we are looking to do in Maho is we want to create a space for music in the first place, but we have established a foundation. It's a broader arts foundation. We want to start with music because, as I say, we have had a history of music in the community. Bells Combo, B+, and of course, all the Calypsonians and individual singers we've had over many decades. So we want to go back to that. So we are actually looking at a space in the community. We're discussing that at the public sector level to see where we can get some support so that we can, in fact, start a program. So the program will involve a few things. One is training of young musicians, particularly young people, say kids, to learn to play the instruments. So guitar, keyboards, to sing, wind instruments. So that's one of the things we want to do. The first thing is to teaching music. The second thing is to create a space for young people to perform, to rehearse. So if you have a band, if you have a gospel group, if you have any kind of organized group, you can come there, get your 1 hour or 2 hours of practice time, and do your thing. And then the third element would be a recording studio to record material produced from not only from there, but also in the community and around. Also, along with that is we would like to do music appreciation programs where we do public education session, where we educate people about music. You don't have to be a musician to understand about music. So what is to sing in key, for example?
Yeah.
what the chords, the main chords that you play. Yesterday we had a big case, Ed Sheeran and the Marvin Gaye song, Let's Get It On. And we hear about the 4-chord progression. What does that mean, So we can explain all those things to people. So that's another part of it. So music literacy, if you will. But also showcasing of talent. We would like to probably, once we have a center established or space established, what we would like to do is, like say, maybe every quarter or so, have talent showcasing where students from the program or just young or people from the community can just come out and showcase their talent at a given time or given space, and really to bring a sense of community back through music. Then we want to go into we would like to go into theater and performing arts at this time later on. The new Maho School has an auditorium, an indoor auditorium, and we would like to see that utilized for the use of by the community, for the community. And so we would certainly like to see some drama and dance.
I remember the days when Maho used to
do
be
the
very
things.
strong,
Strong
in terms of culture in Dominic, traditional culture.
Yes.
Ballet.
Yes. We were strong in folk.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think you're one of the greatest ballet dancers. I mean,
dancers and drummers. We had a guy called Ballet. Yeah, is a 1-foot man. But
wasn't he related to the Conchel guys?
No, the Conchel guys. That is the Benjamins.
The Benjamins.
Their father and their mother
were
belly dancers, singers. I mean, they could do anything. These people were just fantastically talented. But we had a generation of just outstanding folklorists in Maho. And I don't think they get much credit, nationally. So when we talk about folk, we talk about other parts of Dominica. Maho really get the credit. And Clint Shillingford later on, he was part of a group, and they used to win some of the national competitions.
And one of the things I want us to get back into is the appreciation of our practitioners, because we don't seem to be getting or appreciating the work involved.
So I think part of the problem in the Waddix overall is that a lot of things we do it sort of ad hoc, piecemeal, and it's probably because nobody we have no institution that really driving those things. So everybody trying to do something, including government departments. So here's the thing. So you have DFC doing some work. You have Dexter doing some things. You have Department of Culture doing things. All right. Even the Ministry of Trade is supposed to be there, but I'm not too sure where they are in terms of the culture and the
cultural division.
And I say cultural division.
Oh yeah. Right.
And then you have private organizations like yours and others. You have the professional associations like the and Fashion Association that started but kind of dwindled and so on. But what we need to see is a coming together of minds, of spirit, and to tackle some of those big ticket items for the development of the arts. So there are a number of things that we have to focus attention on. So one of the things that that happened some time ago is that the OAS, the government of Dominica through the OAS commissioned an asset mapping exercise. Basically, that was an exercise to determine where it is that we are in terms of the arts, or what is the true value, what are the things that we need to sustain the arts and to move it forward. And so the exercise, the initial report, highlighted the fact that Dominica has tremendous cultural and heritage assets that can be utilized for its own social and economic development and for the improvement of livelihoods of artists and art practitioners. However, for us to take advantage of those assets, there are things that we need to do. And so the OAS study is making some recommendations along the line of a few things that we must take into account. So one is that we have to develop an entrepreneurial culture. So we shouldn't continue to see art as hobby, as a side thing. So we have to have a spirit of business. The mindset has changed. So we have to develop models for business operations and all what that takes. I won't go into that this morning. So that's one thing. The second thing is obviously education and training. So there will be opportunities, or should be opportunities locally to develop courses and programs to educate people from the theoretical or side of things, but also from the technical side of things as well. All right, but also scholarships overseas for higher learning. So education and training. The other thing is incubation and acceleration. That is to say, the whole thing we're talking about space, creating spaces, but not just spaces. Create spaces that allows for improvement in production techniques, the use of technology, marketing skills, and all those things. So in an incubator setting where artists can come and work, can come and create, can come and discuss techniques for marketing and so on. Because particularly in some of the emerging sectors like fashion and design and visual arts, the artists individually may not be able to fund their own equipment and so on. So it makes sense to have a central location or central locations. So the idea is to create one major location and then have nodes or hubs across the island. So for example, you could have the old mill serving as the central location. So the old mill will be outfitted with all of the equipment, all of the spaces for visual artists, for performing artists, for musicians, and so on.
Yeah, because there's adequate
space. Yes.
And you can even, incorporate other stuff with
exactly.
the whole facility.
But then we have nodes. Like we want to do our stuff in Maho, so we have a smaller node. Grand Bay.
Something in Grand Bay.
Like you must have something in Grand Bay.
Must have something in,
Portsmouth, and so on. The Kalinago territory, and then the Northeast.
And so I'm so happy you're bringing that out, because I am very fearful for the next generation.
Yeah, but because that's the problem. Because how do you nurture that next generation into excellence? Because if you don't do that, what you have is mediocrity and what do you say? NB?
I was in discussion.
If we say NB now?
NB,
yes, that's what you're gonna get.
I was in discussion with DJ Slim a while ago. The disjointedness with the young people, let's say the elderly, and there is nothing to actually network both generations for continuity.
So part of the education process has to be mentoring and coaching. So that has to be built into our development programs, our capacity building exercise. So it's not just you come to a course and for 2 weeks or a month or whatever, learn how to play an instrument or learn how about production techniques or marketing or so on, or branding. But at the end of the exercise, what we would like to see is that you, as a practitioner, can go to Waddix and spend some time, and Waddix can mentor you. So if it's in communication, like what you do, because that's a skill that is required in this business, that you sort of mentor and coach people in that direction. What are the things that you need? So you need voice training. Maybe you cannot give it, somebody else can give it, but you can tell a person what to do. You probably need to read certain books, recommend what to do. Then you can do other things, how to write and so on. Who to go and, teach you about how to write, So that is the kind of thing that we have to inculcate now into the new kind of dynamics. So for example, the legal issues. Not many people here verse in legal entertainment law, all right, and business and the business of music.
And so much. This is so important, and we are so deficient.
Yeah,
I just come in a while because we're having a discussion, and sometimes I like to bring in the younger people. Do you know anything about the laws of music business?
So copyright, for example. Copyright.
I would say the basics.
Okay,
the basics.
Okay.
But then, what avenues that you have actually tapped to get the rest of the information necessary, or are you
Right.
seeing yourself full time in that sort of entertainment?
Well, right now, that's actually, you see, what sometimes I don't really like to speak publicly, because a lot of the things that I'm working on, I don't really like people to know.
No.
You understand? But yes, basically, there are some things that I'm working on, and I do plan to DJ full time in the near
As a
future.
profession.
Yes.
As a profession. Because if you need to do that, then what Sobers is actually saying, we need to know the rules. There are parameters surrounding music and the entertainment, and you need to know the business aspect of it. Which one of the things we just look at your other DJs. Is this as important as just making the quick dollar? Which one is more important?
I would say I would always go for longevity, always.
For longevity. But then when you look at your other peers, is it an interesting feature for them to be educated on the business or to make that quick buck?
Well, I mean, it would be important for anybody to be educated in every single thing there is on planet Earth. Yes, so I would like for my my brothers, in the music industry, to be educated on the subject.
Yeah.
So just wanted this intervention, because it's always good to have that the younger generation and how they think.
Yeah.
So that means now networks, frameworks,
Yeah.
the institutions. How now Sobers are we going to get from where we are? Because you said a while ago, very importantly, we have several
Different institutions at the public sector level, even the private sector too.
Yes. How are we going to get that?
So let me continue with the asset mapping exercise, because I think that will get us to there. So I was saying that out of that came a number of recommendations of things that we need to focus attention on. So I say one is the business side, entrepreneurship, building an entrepreneurial culture. So you an artist, but you can be an entrepreneur like Rihanna, like Beyonce, and so on. I mean, people say, oh, but hey, around 2014 or thereabout, Rihanna was close to bankruptcy. Yeah? I don't know if a lot of people knew that, because she was badly managed and so on. And then she got it right. She put her house in order, and within less than 10 years, she is now a billionaire.
Yeah.
And that didn't happen by accident. Because she got to understand the ropes. So she mightn't be an expert in every field. So she may not be an entertainment lawyer or an accountant. But what she did was to make sure she educated herself about the business side of the music and, of course, related industries, because she's also into fashion and so on. So we have to understand that you wouldn't be an expert business person, but you have to approach it as a business. So entrepreneurship has to be brought in. And my remit is further than music. So I want to make that abundantly clear. I am also speaking for design people, carnival people, and festivals people, and people in the film industry, and so on. So I'm saying that we need more entrepreneurs in the sector. So that's in education on entrepreneurship. So it's one. Two, educate capacity building training programs locally through our institutions like the Dominica State College and maybe through the Department of Culture and others coming together to put courses together and to deliver these courses maybe particularly now at what they call the entry level. And then scholarships for bright, smart, sharp Dominicans who want to go into the business. Send them to university. Send them to Jamaica, Edna Manley and Trinidad, University of Trinidad, to do design and that kind of thing. So that is the second thing. I say incubation. So we have to have centers of excellence to allow that to happen. And an accelerator program, that is to say, courses can be running all the time through the incubator program. The other thing that we have to look at is the issue of networking. And I think you alluded to that.
Yeah.
There has to be regular networking exercises among artists and art entrepreneurs in the country to share ideas, to shape policy.
I want you to repeat that, Sobers, because I think lots of times we think it's going to just happen overnight.
No.
And I want you to really repeat that, member.
So I would say that there has to be networking exercises among artists and institutions to help to shape ideas, to influence policy. to learn, you know, best practices. And some of those networking can be local, and some of it regional. So we can have our regional peers, and some of it has to be international. So we can go out internationally. So, like, say for example, we have Austin in Texas. That's a music city. They have a lot that we can learn from them. We can organize to get people to Austin, Texas to see what is happening there and network with them more. New Orleans Carnival. We're talking to some of these people in New Orleans about how we can get them to be involved with us in the region about developing collaborative programs and so on. So networking is an exercise that we have to put on the. The other thing is we have to look at taxation and tax policies. That's a big one because, as you know, tax policies are really the business of the government, central government. But what we're saying is that we have to consider support for the sector. The sector has to be the same way we're supporting agriculture and tourism.
We have a call? Okay, first call for Sobers. Esprit, good morning to you, Creole Heartbeat.
Waddix, you know my famous listener, man. I'm always listening.
Yeah, man. Blessings.
Sure, I see you brought my brother back this week.
Yes.
Second time around.
Yes.
The man is very knowledgeable. Let me put my little piece on him and give him his dues while he's in there. And he mentioned something that I call you on, but he mentioned it before I had to say it. So I just wanna big him up for bringing it up. Music, any kind of form of art and culture should be taught in the college. Let me take this conversation to the region, which is a global thing. Music can be made from any corner of the globe today by a computer. Two musicians can collaborate, one in America, one in Dominica, another in England, and they could put a project together. Through computer, and you would think that they perform in a room together in a studio. But let me say this: we in the region have lost a lot of money that belongs to the region, but as culture. I'm not only speaking of music and the art, culture, because we are very rich in that area. But what my brother Sobers just said, because of lack of knowledge and the facilities and all these things that make it possible for Caribbean music and culture to explore its space in the global sphere, we lose on that, and a lot of us get raped off. And that's why he mentioned Rihanna, because Rihanna hasn't been in that business a long time, but she made all the right moves. Do the right thing, learn all what she needs, and now she's a billionaire plus. So let's come back locally. What needs to happen? Music, the art, which encompasses all the cultural areas, needs to be in the curriculum from an early stage. Okay, because majority of us in the region don't read music on the liner notes. Majority of us are very good at hearing and picking up, and we are very good at that. But we can't really not take and do something professionally. We still can do it even if you can't read the music. So what my brother is saying there, we need to have it from an early stage, and because it's a serious discipline mentally, a serious discipline in the society, because when you have musicians, you see how musicians operate. They are not always like the rest of the society. Something special about a musician, because your brain operates differently. Because let me say, music foundation is mathematics. So it's like you being a real good mathematician when you're doing music. Even though you may not be a good mathematician in school doing a math test, but it is, that's what it is. That's the foundation. It's counting 3, 4 times, 4, 4 times, whatever, how you put it, is math. But my brother Sobers, you the right man for the job, because you have a vast knowledge of, you know. You have a vast knowledge.
I have been giving him his flowers, and I know how resourceful Sobers is. That's why I really wish he could be, making a major contribution, at a higher level. because he's so knowledgeable, and we have people like Subas around alive, and how we should utilize them to the benefit of our country. And I'm not sure why we are so hard-headed, and I think it's just a matter of hard-headed. But thanks a lot, caller. Thanks for the support, and Yahweh bless you. Okay, so once again, Subas, I like that sort of what that's coming out from the program, because it is very interesting. When we think of where we used to be, and we used to have, let's say, the Christian Musical School,
right,
which was a major asset. Then we had it was Ling Sorrento,
Kyrie
School of Music, but then that is not available.
Well, we have a couple of private schools like Pearl Christian,
I know,
and my dear teacher, Valley later. Yes, for many years of long service.
Yes, but then
they need support.
Exactly.
They need to be much further. So there are two other things I want to add to that. So as I say, the asset mapping exercise is going to give us some tools, so we can dip into the toolbox and pull it out. And we're hoping that we can launch that toolkit very soon through the work of the Ministry of Culture in Dominica. But there are other things, and we will explore that. But there are two other things I think that are critical in this whole scheme of things. One is the issue of statistics or data. That is so vital, and why that is important. So for policy making, to encourage the public sector or the government, the state, to invest in any sector, you have to generate data. Yeah. The problem is in our sector, we have a paucity of information.
Yes.
Data is not collected and analyzed in the way that it should be. So, for example, we do festivals here, and we hear people say, "Oh, it was great." You say, on what basis that it was great? It was great maybe for maybe the entertainment value, yes. But I think for what we really want to find out, and this is not a problem, it's just that we just have to get it right. We need to collect data on the impact of those events on the artists, for example, and the economy. So part of what we have to do is to ensure that we develop tools and techniques of data collection at our events, at all events. So Carnival. So at the end of the Carnival season, we should be saying, hey, that is what happened. That is what came out of our Carnival experience.
With data.
Data to support it. WCMF, Jazz and Creole, and so on. So
in particular, the World of Creole Music Festival.
And because for two critical reasons is that the artists, from the perspective of the artists and the people that are performing and are participating, what is the impact on their lives?
Exactly.
What is the impact on the economy? And then once we have that information, then we can make the deba and say, well, not deba, but we can raise our voice and say, hey, our sector has generated X amount.
So that level of success.
So that we need to see some level of reinvestment into the sector. Exactly. By way of grants, for example, scholarships, for example,
because you have that data to support.
That's right.
So and then another caller for you, Sobers. Just hold your thought a little. Good morning, Creole Heartbeat. Sobers Esprit in the building.
Good morning. I just want to congratulate my Uncle Sobers on always doing a good job.
Yes.
I'm listening.
Thank you very much. I guess
my niece calling from Canada.
Oh, calling from Canada. Another caller for Sobers Esprit. Good morning.
Hi, greetings.
Yeah, my brother. Greetings. What's up?
Greetings to you and my other brethren there, Sober.
IP. No, you think IP voice, man.
That's the African king, man.
Yes.
Anyway, I just want to thank you all for the conversation there this morning.
Yes.
And I think it's very informative, and I just like to say, well, I appreciate it, and I hope those who listen do appreciate it.
Yeah,
but I just want to add something, though. It's the box is there? Is the concern about the young people, and I share the same concern, and I think in all the things that Suba said this morning, I think maybe there are two things that I would like to add to that. that in this whole attempt to sensitize and conscientize the young people, I think in our culture, there may be two things that I can see that we maybe need to focus in to tweak that. One is that if we can shift some of the thinking from to a thinking that says that we're always examining why we do things. So, for example, if we get the young people to start to somehow in the education process to be always self-examining why they're doing that, why they're playing the music, why they want to play kadam, why they want to play bouillon. Yeah. I think that's what's missing in the education process, not just from music and the art, but in everything. Yeah. And I think if we can help our young people to start to do that, so in all your education process, I was just thinking that's something that maybe need to be looked at. Always this thing about questioning. And the other thing I am thinking about it is in terms of, it's also when it comes to why working, we work for money. And we don't seem to have a culture that has us always making our money work for us, our creative energy.
That's right.
So that's why we tend to be more concerned about making the big money instead of making a little money, but even when we are asleep, our money working for us. So I think when it comes to that's maybe something that needs to be looked at, because all the other great things you mentioned, they will go much further if the participant trying to participate in those things. Also, these two notions are a little bit more significant in the mix.
Yes.
And the other thing, and I'm saying if we want excellence from the youth, there must be excellence from those who are there. What you all call it again?
The mentors?
The mentors can't be mediocre. I think you're going to make.
No, you're right.
You're so right.
That's all I go say for now.
Yes, man. Thanks a lot, Cole.
No, that you're right on point.
Yes.
So here's the thing. So what the issue here though is the approach. So the approach has to be always to question. I mean, let me add that, because I wasn't dealing on a pedagogical approach in this whole thing, so I not a teaching approach or method. But if we were in a teaching and learning environment, yes, definitely. So, for example, we just did a month-long course on festival tourism, original course, and the first thing we're asking the festival operators is why. Why are you doing it? Why are you doing a festival? Even if you did 100 times, why are you doing it? When are you going to do it? How are you going to do it? And with what are you going to do it? Those questions must be asked. So that is another thing. So when we come down to drill it down, those things have to be So I agree with you.
I was tempted
to reinforce.
I was tempted to ask you if we ask it ourselves, why are we doing?
No. You have to. You have
this
to
present
do it.
festival. But we have a call on the line. Good morning to you, Creole Heartbeat for Summers Esprit.
Leroy Waddix with the talking child.
That's your mother, Pamela. Greetings, my brother.
Wow, my bro.
Oh, wow.
Jamaho collided and offspring of a Jamaho.
Mr. Esprit, good morning, sir.
Good morning, my brethren.
Yeah, man. It's nice to hear you speak about the initiative from that we planned on doing in Mao, because I thought for a while that it had gone for the cracks, you know. And I mean, I remember you called me and you spoke about it, and I think that I had a conversation with Mike Moore about that, and I can't remember exactly what we spoke about, you know. But I know people like him would endorse that kind of program, because seeing we from Mao, you know what Mao is when it comes to music and stuff like that. You know, so I think it's a good initiative, and I think. After you spoke to me, you wouldn't believe me, but I went and I inquired where I could find the box guitars.
And the keyboards.
Wow.
Yes, we're still waiting for that. We're still soliciting your support on that.
Of course.
No, because I was kind of disappointed not to make you feel bad or anything like that, because
that's all right.
At the meeting during the carnival time while I was young, and I was invited, and I said, "Whoa." I probably not involved anymore.
No,
but
no,
that's
no,
okay.
no. You're always part of it. You're part of the family. We let you enjoy yourself while you're here for carnival.
Yeah, but I'm seriously. Seriously, I spoke to a guy that have a big he has a big piano in his house, he's not using it, so I can have it in them already. I even went to look at the box guitars, the type of guitars, bass guitars, and what other kind of guitars, and I think we could get. I know that there are a couple of Dominicans around I can get. Now people I can get involved, So you just tell me when you're ready, and then we'll go from there. And I wish that initiative comes through, because too many times, young boys on the street, young people are going astray, and we provide no means of escape for them, and then we blame them. I think that would capture a lot of them attention,
That's definitely.
Thank you. And you see, thank you very much, caller. Thank you very much, Paben. God bless you and your family. And the lovely thing about this could be a nice template for the rest of the various communities around Dominica.
That's right.
And that's why I think, it is so good. If we could just have, in abundance, several of those projects.
Just like what you see happening in the French Islands.
Yes. But suppose I want us to touch on the my office. I know it's something different.
Yes, but before we come to my office, so statistics. So I say we have to have efficient, professional tools to measure our festivals and events. But beyond the festivals and events, we need to also.
But anytime we talk about that, so I'm tempted, because you are also part of the World Creole Music Festival.
No, I used to.
Sorry, used to. A founding member. Yes. A founding member, close right hand to Mr. Sheridan Gregor. Yeah. This man can easily be the Minister of Tourism and call. You hearing it for yourself, DJ Slim. I mean, where have we gone wrong in terms of those particular data?
Well, they do collect some data.
Yes,
they do collect. I know that. I know they do collect for WCMF.
But then have we seen?
But I think what we need to see is whether they make it public.
No. But have we? Okay, whatever data.
Yeah. I don't know. I can't speak for the FC. Let me go there.
We're not going to speak for the FC.
But I know that they do collect some data.
Has it been in the direction we have seen it been the festival going?
That's what I'm saying. I'm not part of that, so I don't want to say anything. But I'm making a general statement that for festivals and events, that we need to measure these festivals and events. That's one thing. Secondly, for the rest of the sector, music and so, it's a little much more complex in terms of how you measure these things. So we have to work with statistics, the Ministry of Finance, in terms of how we in fact develop instruments to collect data on the contribution of the rest of the sector, whether it be music, film, visual arts, and so on. So the
calls are coming to us, but don't forget we have to touch on the Mao section.
Yes.
Good morning to you, Creole Heartbeat for Sobers Esprit, and the calls are coming fast and furious. Good morning.
Yeah, morning, Prince Waddix.
Good morning to you, my brother.
Yeah, and your guest. Man, it's
Sobers
amazing to hear the discussion, Waddix.
Yeah, man.
But I just called to say he's so right in terms of data. I was thinking in terms of documentary, to document the history.
Yes.
And you could add it in the educational system in terms of the history. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Because I hear you say something about ballet, for example. And I know Salisbury used to be a champion when it comes to ballet.
I remember those days.
If you ask me how many times we win the first prize in ballet, because it used to happen on National Day or Independence.
Yes.
That's when all the culture and the arts used to. And I know Salisbury used to kill them one. You know what I mean? But the documentary part is very, very important in terms of our history. Because if we don't know our history, it's like a tree without roots. You know the rest of the story. Anyway, good program as usual, man. Waddix is so amazing. Sometimes that's why I say still have hope for Dominica.
Definitely. Definitely.
There's still hope, because when we have good guys like your guest Waddix, I know they have a lot of good people still in Dominica that have the skills, the talent, the knowledge, the wisdom.
Yeah.
We just need to fall back on the right track. Anyway, I'm listening.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
So, and I know he doesn't want me to blow his trumpet. And yes, the ideas are there, but the execution of those ideas, implementation of those ideas, even where Sobers is even stronger.
So couple of other things. One is building on what IP was saying, monetizing the cultural assets, to put value to them. So whether it be music, it be fashion, and so on, to ensure that we have ways to make sure that we can generate income and revenue to sustain us and the economy. So monetizing, and there are a number of ways you can monetize. So music, for example, it is about the tour circuit, for example, concerts overseas, selling music online, merchandising, and a whole range of other things. So I want to support him on that. The other thing I wanted to say, so I say statistics, so both for the festivals and events as well as the other subsectors. And so what we can call satellite accounts for the cultural industries, we have to develop that through a collaboration between culture and finance, to capture the data so that we know exactly how our sector is performing. The other thing I want to say is the issue of memorizing the artists and the works of the artists. There are a number of things that we can do and we have to do. Walk of Fame, Hall of Fame, museums, developing documentaries, programs. These are things, and the guy just talk about it. I think we have to go to the drawing board to develop documentary programs. We have young filmmakers, for example. We need to get them engaged and involved so that they can do documentary stories and say, Alwyn Bully just passed. We should already be doing something on Alwyn Bully. And I know Gordon is doing something. Yes. So Ophelia, we just paid tribute to her. We should do a documentary on Ophelia. Mm-hmm. So things like that. The folk culture we talk about. How many people know about the history of the folk era when we were really tight and top in the world? Not the region, the world. So we have to find ways to do that. Museums, we talk about National Museum for Music, and it's a project.
And even a museum online.
Yes, and
online
virtual. So that is something we can talk about. Okay. So we haven't much time, so let's come down to the Maho thing. So part of what I'm doing, so as you see, I am trying to get back into the community more. The last few years I was more regional and national. The last couple of years I've decided, hey, go back into the community. So as you heard, I'm doing this Maho, the Arts Foundation. 2, this year we are teaming up with the rest of the folks to do the Maho Village Feast, Fet Maho. What we intend to do is a week of activities, starting from the first day. We want to do 2 days of a village fair, an exposition, where we're going to bring out all the goods and services from the community and villages around. So agriculture, agribusiness, art and craft, garments, and so on. We want to put that on exhibition for 2 days. Then we have a night, an entertainment night, a big night where we're going to be doing a music night, regional, international act, and then the normal local things on the Sunday. But for me, my focus is on the Maho Village Fair, which is a 2-day event. We really want to use that as a platform to expose people who create and who produce stuff in the community. And so this is a call now for all creators, all producers in the community, not just Maho. This is really for Maho and surrounding communities. It is happening in Maho, but we want creators, we want producers to come out and bring out their stuff.
From as far as, let's say, Kinfield to Salisbury?
Yes. I mean, I don't know if it's far as Salisbury, but definitely Maho to Kinfield for GMIT, the communities around. So those farmers, people are doing health and wellness products, people in garments, even people doing services like in construction and engineering, people in retail and distributive trade. So we want to give them a space. So we bring everybody in one space so people can see what it is that we are doing in this area. So it's a way for us to say, hey, what is it that we're doing? Or what is it that we're not doing? And how we can, in fact, in the next few years. So that can help us now to come up with a plan, work with the parliamentary representative, work with community leaders, and so on, saying, we're not seeing enough in agriculture, for example. We didn't see more produce in that area. Or we're not seeing enough in health and wellness. Or we're not seeing enough in construction. So the fair is a platform to exhibit and to expose our talent, but it's also an opportunity for us to examine what it is that
Goods
we're doing.
and goods and services.
Yes, and to examine what we're doing and what we're doing well and what we're not doing so well, and how we can improve. So this is the first effort. We have a team of young people, of mature people like myself, and we're going to be putting our effort in doing it. There's going to be one big night of music. We are going to be showcasing the music of Bells Combo. That's our hope. Looking at the music of the legends, the legendary Bells Combo. So we will get artists, local artists, to sing some of the songs and to really reminisce on the history of that great band.
Just before we close, for those who may not know how potent and how powerful Bells used to be, just give us some brief history on Bells Combo.
Wow.
I know you need about an hour for that, but then you can proceed that.
Well, yeah, I mean, I did something with my godfather, Jeff.
Yeah,
Detush passed. Well, what I understand is that Bells Combo started in the late 60s, all right?
Embers,
a band called Embers. Embers. It was a combo. And you had guys like this Mike Morrow, and I don't want to call names because you all forget yourself.
But Co from group was part of
that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Embers.
Lennox, John Baptist, and Kenrick, Henry, and those guys. And then Bells, the DCP factory sponsored, gave them a major sponsorship, and they changed that's why the name change came to Bells Combo, because they had a product, a soap, right. Yes. And and then Bells Combo became a legendary band after what, 30 of more than 30 years, led by Mike Morrow. I mean, you talk about somebody with passion, dedication, commitment. That was this guy. This guy used to be in the band house, and Bells Combo was notorious. They had some band houses in different parts of the village. So, for example, downstairs, his parents' place used to be a band house right on the road. And when Bells Combo practiced, it was
a dance.
Yeah. It was an event, you know. And Mike would be there from an hour or two before, setting up. So by the time the guys came into the studio, into the band house, and if they were practicing a new song, he would tell everybody what they had to do. And so it was really about a collaboration between those guys.
But then even the community sobers, which is something we see lacking now, actually felt like there was a level of ownership.
Oh yeah, they owned the band. It was their band. It was a band.
Yes.
So Carnival, for example.
Support.
So Carnival, for example, if Bells Combo wasn't on the road, people were making noise. I mean, if they came out late, people were making noise. Where's Bells Combo? Where's the band? Where's the band? And you're talking about Mao used to have about a few thousand people behind that one banner.
I know.
People used to come from all over, from Portsmouth, from La Plaine, from Salisbury, from St. Joseph, anywhere to come to jump on Bells Combo on Carnival Day.
But they also had their unique style.
Yes,
I mean, different.
The band was unique, its own song. But again, that was part of what happened. We saw in those days. All the bands were unique,
which is different.
Yeah, they were different.
Today's music.
Yeah,
Exile was distinct.
Yes,
Gramax, Bells Combo, Below Men.
Yeah,
Groovers,
they were all.
You know, like even Liquid Dice, and even when the music evolved into, let's say, the WCK days. Rough and Ready was different from RSB. RSB was different from WCK.
Yeah, so I think it may be that guys there is a lot of movements of some of the musicians now. So that is maybe part of the reason. But I think there's just the similarity that we see probably is because of the competition. I don't know. So it could be varying reasons. But yeah. So here's the thing. One of the things I believe that we have to focus on is,
as we wind down, because we have to.
I know that you were saying yesterday, couple of days ago, you and Gregory were saying about getting UNESCO Canas to be inscribed as a World Heritage, part of World Heritage.
Yeah.
So we have to approach that as one musical genre, Canas and Bouillon, as one. It cannot be Canas alone. It has to be Canas and Bouillon. That's one. Secondly, we have to work with other partners, other parties like Jamaica, for example, that have gone through before us. Cuba, you heard the Jamaicans say that they got a lot of support from Cuba and so on. So what I'm saying all of this to say that there has to be more integration between the generation of the Canance generation and this generation in terms of how we improve and promote the music. And Gregory made the point about branding of the music. That's something that we have to pay more attention to, so that we can in fact see our music move from just being local to more regional and international.
What about quality?
Well, but you cannot do branding without quality.
Standards and quality.
You branding has to do. Branding is about quality. It's about consistency. It's about authenticity. It's about originality. It's about all of these things. It is your mark.
No, but this is important because there may be different perceptions of what branding may be. Now, for a small country like ours, that we need to get it right. We are not we don't have the population, we don't have the consumers. We need to get it right. Most of all, branding is critical for us.
Yes. Otherwise, you disappear. That's what happened with Canaan Calypso. We disappear after 3 decades. And now we're trying to get back into the race. And so so the consistency has to be there, the quality has to be there, but we have to be dynamic as well. I said it last program. We need more stars, guys. We need more stars. So the Benjis, we need to help people like Benji make them stars. Shelly, make them stars. Shalina and the other young lady in Signal, Stasha. Get them and make them be real stars. Give them the tools that they can stand out in the crowd.
Absolutely. So was Esprit, another wonderful hour. I really do hope that our audience were educated by some of what you have to say. Really, that's like I always, he don't want me to say it, but I think you would really make a good minister of culture and tourism. We didn't even talk on cultural tourism, but he's also a master. I've worked with Subas now for maybe almost 30 years, and I can testify to the brother's genius. Thank you, Subas, for coming.
Yes. Before I leave, let me just touch my brother Philip Elwin. He was been listening. Yes, bro. We'll talk. Okay.
And if you notice, the calls are coming, but we have to make a major stop for the news major coming up. So on behalf of DG Cell, sponsors of our program today, this is Prince Waddix. I hope we can get a young perspective, a younger generation perspective. Next week, I've invited DJ Slim to put some of his younger comrades together, so we can hear from them and see how we can network that or put together that gap that is between the mature and the young people. Let us see how we can bring it together and at least mentor them, but not just throw down. They don't like people telling them what to do, but at least have a discussion with them. Until next week, Prince Waddix, may God bless you.
Gordon Henderson, Fritz Troy Williams, Vivian Morris, X1 Group, First Check, yo.